Welcome to part 4 of our interlinear overview. Now in this video, we're going to focus on the right-click menu. Let me stress, it is imperative that you master the right-click menu. From here, you can get access to a lot of information that will allow you to go deeper into God's Word. I've opened up my New American Standard Bible to Genesis 1:1. I'm going to right-click on the word beginning. Immediately, the right-click menu opens, and it's a split window. The left side represents all the data that you can search on, and the right menu will change based on what you click on in the left portion of the menu. The first one is selection, and as you can see, I only have the word beginning because I right-clicked on a single word. If you were to select a phrase, let's say in the beginning God, and then right-click on it, you'll see the phrase will appear in the beginning God. Now, if we go over to the right, we can see we have some additional options. First, we have the label telling us what we've chosen, selection in the beginning God. We can look at the text comparison window. I'll go ahead and click on that. Now notice it's doing the whole verse, Genesis 1:1. Now depending on what your settings are, you may have different Bibles, and we'll show this feature in more detail so that you can learn how to change the Bibles, but let's leave it as it is. Then we have the A to let us know what we want to see as far as differences. And then we can look at the verse view or the interlinear view. And then we can click the stoplight menu and we can choose the various options here. Now, I currently have set to vertical layout. We could do horizontal layout and look at it that way. Bottom line is, with a right-click menu, we can automatically get access to the text comparison window rather than going to Tools, typing in text comparison, and then launching the menu. So be aware of that. Let me go ahead and close this window by clicking on the X on the tab. Let's go back and right-click on beginning. Once again, we'll choose selection. Let's work our way down the menu. Next is copy. This literally will copy the phrase. So if I click copy, go to Microsoft Word, and click paste, I'm going to get exactly what I copied. So copy will only copy the selection. Now let's right-click again on beginning, go back to selection, and you'll see that we now have another option under copy called copy verse. So now we're going to copy all the text in that passage. Now styled is going to draw from your most recent use of the copy Bible verses tool. And we'll explain that tool later in another video. But let's click on styled and let's go back to Word. I'll go ahead and paste. And you can see that my style bolds Genesis 1:1 and abbreviates the book name and puts in the full text. So if you're looking for a quick and easy way to copy Bible verses, this is one of the fastest ways to do it. Let's once again right-click on beginning, go back to selection. Let's choose lines, go back to Word, and let's see what we get. Notice that we get a line by line or row by row of information. So there's Genesis 1:1, there's the verse, and so forth. Let's return to Logos, right-click on beginning, choose selection, and let's choose text only. So we'll go back to Word. We'll go ahead and paste, and you'll see that it's just the text. The verse information's been stripped away. It's just the text. Let's once again return back to Logos, right-click on beginning, choose selection, and you'll see that there's a more option. We click more, and the copy Bible verse window opens. This is, again, real handy because it gets you right into the tool. Now we can change the style before we paste it into our Word document. And again, we'll look at this tool in more depth in a future video. Let's go back to In the Beginning God and right-click. Now, working our way down, we also have Visual Copy. This is a wonderful tool. Let's click on it. And what it will do is take your passage and insert it into the Media tool, and then you can choose the slide for that particular passage. Now, in order for this feature to work, you do need to be connected to the internet. As you can see, the text we selected has now been placed in the slide, and in this case, this is my default slide. Now, if you click Find Media, you'll see you have access to a whole bunch more slides, and we'll look at this feature in more detail. But bottom line, if you need to make a quick, instant PowerPoint slide with the selected text, it really is as simple as right-clicking, choosing the text, and then choose Visual Copy. With the highlighting tool, you can highlight the text. Logos will keep track of the last 5 highlights you've utilized. If you have a custom highlight, the custom highlight will not visually appear in one of these 5, but it will appear as one of the most recently selected ones. The next section is Take a Note, so you can literally jump to your note tool by choosing this. Then we have add a community note, which will be a note for all Logos users. Underneath that section is the search, and you have several options. Inline search will kick off the inline search and search for this phrase in the Bible. Let's go ahead and click on inline. As you can see, you have in the beginning God. Now, if we get rid of God, and you can make changes up here in the search box and just put in the beginning, by changing it to the phrase in the beginning, we have more search results. Now, to close the inline search after you run it, locate the X located right here and click it. Let's select the phrase in the beginning and right-click it. In regards to the other searches, we'll look at each one more in depth, but Bible will search your Bible. Basic will search all your books or a specific collection that you designate. All Open searches all open resources, in this case, just my Bible. All Resources will search your entire library, and Everything will do your whole library and some additional searches online. The next section is Lookup. Now, in this case, the phrase in the beginning is actually found in a resource, and you can see it there. And then also in this resource, we can see it. If there is a resource that has the information you're looking up, Logos will put it here. There is a direct link to Wikipedia and Power Lookup. Let me click on Power Lookup. As you can see, the Power Lookup is going to look up this word or phrase in the resources. Notice it's identical to those other two previous sources. Now, if you have more resources, then more would appear. Nevertheless, still very handy. So as you're starting to see, by using the right-click menu, you can get access to a lot of other features that would have normally gone through the menu system. Now you get access to it with a right-click. Now, under the Power Lookup, you can share this information, Faith Life, Facebook, Twitter, and email. You can add a clipping document, which will allow you to store this information and add additional details. Again, we'll cover the clippings tool in more detail later. Canvas is another tool in Logos you can add this information to. You can also send it to Faith Life Proclaim if you have that program. And if you do find something in a book that's incorrect, you can select the text and choose Report Typo, and you'll have the ability to actually tell Logos, hey, there's a mistake here, what it should be, and then make your comments and click Submit. Again, you need to be connected to the internet to use this. Let's once again right-click on Beginning. All right, so we've gone through the selection. Let's now click on Reference. Now, as you click on items at the left, some of the options at the right will be the same, and some of them will be different. Where it's identical, we'll skip over it. Notice with the reference, we can kick off the passage guide and text comparison. You can see the copy selection is still the same, but now we have copy reference, URL, search, and text. The URL is very handy if you want to create a link back to this for other users. So I'm going to click on URL. I'm going to go back to Microsoft Word and just paste it in there so you can see it. And there's the URL. And this you can send to other users, whether they have Logos or not, and they can access this information. Let's right-click on our verse, choose reference. You can also copy reference search. Let's go back to Word and paste that in there. And as you can see, this would allow you to run a search for the verse. So Logos is going to basically put in the search criteria if you want to search for Genesis 1:1. Let's go back to Logos and right-click. Notice that we're just copying the reference. We're not actually doing any searching. Now, as we scroll down, we can see the familiar menu items. Take a note, add community note. There's the searching. Notice we have a few more options for lookup. Notice that these are Bible translations. Because we're working with a location, Logos is listing your first 5 prioritized Bibles. So if you want to quickly jump to another Bible, just click one of these options and away it goes. Let's click on Power Lookup since that option is now available. What Power Lookup will do is take your passage and look it up in a variety of Bible translations, as well as other books and commentaries. And as you can see, there's a lot of information here that you can sort through. Let's go ahead and click on the X to close that window. Let's go back to the phrase, select it in beginning, and right-click it and choose reference. Now, after Power Lookup, you'll see that there are custom guides listed here. Your most recently used guide will always be at the top. Since these guides are Bible reference-based, by clicking on them, I'm going to click on Media and Maps, it puts Genesis 1:1 in the search box, and now my special custom guide will generate information based on this passage. Again, it's a great shortcut to jump right to a custom guide. I'll select the text, right-click. Now, if you scroll down past the custom guides, you have your share feature. Notice we can add to a passage list. So if you're working with a passage list, you can have that embedded in here. Again, the most recent will be in the menu. You can also add to Canvas. And then there's Explore, Send the Faith Life Proclaim, and Cited By. Let's click Explore. Now, Explore is going to take our passage Genesis 1:1 and give us some additional information. Biblical events, people, places, things, media, my content, cross-references, and commentaries. Again, we'll explore this feature in more detail later in another video. All this information does appear in the right-click menu as well, but if it's something that you're frequently using, this is a lot more convenient. In fact, you can click the three dots, click on Link Set A, click on the three dots for your Bible, click Link Set A, and as you move from one passage to the next, you'll see that the Explorer window will move with you. Let's go ahead and click on the X to close that window. Let's select the phrase in the beginning, right-click on it, choose Reference, and scroll all the way to the bottom using the vertical scroll bar. The last item is Cited By. Now, when you click on Cited By, you'll see that Genesis 1:1 has been populated as a search, and it's searching through collections. Now, you should be aware that you can delete these various options. Notice that all resources is kind of built in, but then you can click Add, and it gives you access to all your collections, and now you can search a specific collection for this particular verse. So again, a quick way to search your collections. Let's go ahead and click on X to close this window. All right, you're doing great. Let's select the phrase in the beginning and right-click it. Now, the next section is really important for word studies. You'll see that there are several options. I recommend memorizing the icon. That'll be more easier to use in the future. So the page icon represents a page from the manuscript. This is the manuscript form. That is what was written down in the original Greek and Hebrew Bible. The next item is a circle icon. This is the lemma. Think of LE, lemma, LE, lexicon. This is the form that you'll find in a dictionary. Notice that we get the Hebrew word or Greek word, and we get some glossaries. That is what this would be equivalent to in English. Then you have the square root icon, which represents the root. And then you have the @ symbol, which represents morphology. So this is a preposition. So this next section is really important for word studies. Now I'm selecting a whole phrase. I'm just going to right-click on the word beginning. And now you're going to see that Logos gives us more information. So always be aware whether you're selecting a word or a phrase. We've got the manuscript, the lemma, the root, and the morphology. Now we have Strong's, and then we have the alpha icon, which represents biblical sense. This gives you the capability of searching for the idea across Old and New Testament. Be aware, though, that some senses are unique to Old or New Testament. But if you want to search on the event of beginning, you could click on that and do a search. If you want to search on beginning in the sense of time, you can do that sense, or beginning as an act. Now, I want to pause here and back up a little bit, and let's review the word study elements. Now, when we click on manuscript, notice we can copy the various searches, and we can look it up in our dictionaries. Now, when you're searching on a noun, it will appear many times in a dictionary because the noun form matches the lemma form. But that doesn't always happen, and therefore you may not have the same types of links. If we go to the lemma form, notice that we have a fact book now, because fact book can do basic word studies. We can get access to our Bible word study guide, and we can even hear the word pronounced. We have the ability to copy, visual copy, take a note. Let's click on root. Now, root is very limited. We can copy the reference, take a note, and search for the root in our Bible. Notice, though, the options here. We have the Hebrew word listed here, then the inline Bible, all open, all resources, and then the Hebrew word with morphology. So this allows you to search in a more precise way. If we click on the morphology, you can see the options there. Strong's numbers will link you to the Strong's dictionary. Now let's take a look at sense. We can go to our fact book, or we can go directly to our Bible sense lexicon. Again, we'll look at each one of these tools more closely. The next section are events. As you can see, the flag listed here describes various events. God creates the heaven and earth, creation event, pre-patriarchal period event, creation and fall. Underneath the events is the preaching theme. Notice the triangles. These are very important to note because they tell you there's more information. If we click the triangle next to the preaching theme, we can see there's a lot of preaching themes here. Then we have the theological topics. Again, notice the triangle, we'll click it, and we have various theological topics at this verse. Look for the label icon. Next to that is a triangle. Let's click that. And you can see there's a variety of labels. Now, if you look closely, we have the cantillation name. That's unique to Hebrew. And that's basically helping us understand the various accents in the Hebrew text. The figure of speech is real helpful if you're looking at figures of speech from a literature or genre standpoint. Can also have another figure of speech, in this case, ellipsis. So there can be more than one figure of speech in a passage. Then we have the inner text target. And this is helping you find how this concept or idea is related in other resources, sometimes in the Bible, but most times outside the Bible. And you can see there's quite a few here that are doing that. After the inner text, we have the long acre, which is dealing with genre, and also the prepositional phrase and source criticism. Now, again, this data, these labels will change from passage to passage, word for word, but understand that it will be here embedded in the right-click menu. Then we have cultural concept. Notice the triangle, I'll click it. So there's two concepts there. Then we have the discourse. Now, you'll have this for Greek as well as Hebrew, and you can see those various options there. Notice that we have a repeat of the Longacre genre here under discourse. And this allows you to search for these items. Then we have some literary typing. Let's click on the triangle next to it. And again, you can see the various tagging there. So all the genre has been embedded in the right-click menu. And then we have show more information. And if we click that, now we get access to all these items that were in our right-click menu, but now are available through this specialized window. As you can see, the right-click menu is a great beachhead for jumping into additional searches for more research. That concludes our videos for the interlinear. As I said earlier, we'll look more closely at each of these individual searches and the associated tools and guides and reports.